Alright, it's Keith, and I'm back here with another tier list video. I enjoy doing these videos, honestly. It's good sometimes to, sit in front of the camera, just talk to you guys about comics. Um, and they kind of help me just, get to talk about the characters I love. Mainly, different types of characters like villains, or heroes, or costumes. I've got a lot of ideas and concepts for these tier lists that I plan on putting out soon, so I always appreciate getting them. Um, this one, as you can see, we have X Men villains. Now, the X Men, some of my favorite iterations are parts of Marvel. I mean, honestly, you want my opinion? I think the X Men by themselves are like 50% of what makes Marvel good. So, can't wait to see how they'll be handled in MCU. Hopefully, really, really good. Fingers crossed. But we have our tiers here, so I'm gonna go by the best X Men villains. Now, I'm ranking these based on how much of a threat they are, with a little bit of bias. Not gonna lie, some people are just gonna be a little bit higher than others, but it's really just how much of a threat they are to the X Men as a whole. So the X Men roster changes a bunch. Let's just go with the general X Men team that we normally see and we're all accustomed to, since the team and roster changes all the time. But yeah, we're just gonna base the villains here and how they impact and how dangerous they are to the X Men. Starting at the top, we have the top rank being excellent. If you're in that rank, yeah, you're just the best of the best, or I guess the worst of the worst. However you want to look at it, might be cooked. Those are the people that, given the right opportunity and the right storyline, and the most plot armor, they might be able to make that win. Threat, I mean, you're good on day to day. You might be able to take the X Men by surprise, but overall, we can pretty much handle you. Villain of the week, you're just there to pass time. Just while we're waiting for the big event to pop up, you're the villain just gonna show up. And bottom of the barrel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna use bottom of the barrel for two things. For people I'm not too familiar with, because unfortunately I kind of didn't want to give them their own tier. I pretty much know everybody on the list from looking at it from a first glance. But also people that I think just aren't really utilized enough, or I'm not too familiar with. Because I'm gonna be honest, there are some great villains out there that are just super underutilized. So don't be surprised if you see them in that list. But we're gonna kick this off with number one. Already have our first excellent Apocalypse. Do I really need to say too much about this? Apocalypse is probably like one of the most iconic X Men villains of all time. I mean, even though he didn't wasn't really done or portrayed that well in live action, Apocalypse is such a really cool villain. He's considered the first mutant. Like whenever you think about who's the big bad, of course your first mind goes to Magneto. But typically when you think of like the most dangerous, it has to be Apocalypse. I mean, have you seen the Age of Apocalypse timeline? That shit is crazy and one of the greatest comics of all time with that. So got a good Apocalypse up there. Arcade. Arcade is interesting because he makes these dangerous games that could result in your death, but he doesn't really do much killing. I feel I don't know. Maybe I've just not seen too much of Arcade, but I'm gonna put him in threat because I feel like given the right circumstance, he can really make these traps like jigsaw level, like impossible to escape. But they always seem to find a way to get out of it. So I don't know. We're gonna leave him in threat for now. Avalanche. My main knowledge of Avalanche actually comes from one of the X Men cartoon shows growing up. But on that side, he wasn't really much of a villain. However, his power by itself is really dangerous. But if I'm being honest, his power by itself doesn't really give him an edge over the X Men. So he's going into villain of the week. Really cool power. Can really be good maybe with the right combination, but it's kind of a power that will hurt your own teammates as well. So really that's how you use it. Black Tom Cassidy. Ooh. Not gonna lie, this is a difficult one. I'm gonna go ahead and put him in might be I'm gonna put him in threat. Because you know what? I feel like he's no more of a threat than Arcade is. Which is kind of weird because I feel like he's more of a serious threat than Arcade is. But at the same time, I just can't really see him being in the might be cooked category. He may move up depending on how I feel but and look at it, but I feel like that's a perfect fit for him. We have Blob, one of the more iconic X Men villains. Definitely one of my least favorites. But by himself, he's going to be in villain of the week because by himself, there's no way the Blob is just beating the X Men team. There's no way. But in any villain team like the Brotherhood of Mutants or anything like that, of course he's a threat. I mean, if we're talking about him alongside other villains, yeah, he's a problem. Or even if he's just fighting, one of the X Men one on one, he's a problem. But I'm talking about how these villains fare against the X-Men as a whole, and Blob is not much of an issue for the entire team. Bolivar Trask. Now this is interesting because I feel like by himself, of course, they would just gang up on him and beat him. But with all his inventions and technology, he's dangerous. He's super dangerous. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in Might Be Cooked. I mean, Bolivar Trask is a really iconic X-Men villain for a reason. He's really really intelligent. He's really conniving. So you gotta put him there. I always love the characters who kind of you underestimate just from looking at, but you see their darker sinister side. So gotta give him there. Cassandra Nova. Oh yeah, she's definitely excellent. Now we actually just saw her in Deadpool and Wolverine. For those who've seen the movie, which is pretty much everyone in the world at this point. But yeah, she's really dangerous. I mean, the sister of Professor X. She has some really crazy mutant abilities, especially in the comics, and she can get dangerous. Like she's practically impossible to kill, and she can easily like walk the floor with the X-Men team. So definitely there. And also, it might be cooked. I'm going to put Dark Beast. They might be surprised because a lot of people, for some reason, Beast is kind of slept on. His intelligence is off the charts. I mean, to be fair, when you have a bunch of other Marvel characters who are really smart too, like Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, all those people, it really is kind of hard to rank how smart Beast is compared to those guys. But he's up there for sure. He's like in that top five smartest Marvel characters of all time. And anytime you have a really intelligent character who's also evil, it doesn't really matter how powerful they are. They'll find a way to become a threat. And I think Dark Beast can really be that, as we've seen multiple times. Dark Phoenix, oh, come on. Of course she's excellent. I mean, Dark Phoenix, is there really much more I have to say? The only thing that Dark Phoenix can't do is make a good movie. But other than that, like, Dark Phoenix is really, really crazy, really powerful, one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel, let alone just the X-Men. So we have someone like that on the enemy side. It's really hard to beat. Destiny. Destiny is interesting because this is a character who has the power to, predict the future. So, I'm going to put you in Might Be Cooked, especially for those who are familiar with the comics with the whole Krakoan timeline. Destiny does play a pretty major role in that. I think Destiny, yeah, I think it might be cooked. I think given the right tools and the right motive, Destiny could be really hard to beat. I mean, talking about someone who can pretty much see or predict the future at all times, super hard to beat that. Donald Pierce. You're going to go in through it. Now, you're not out there necessarily with characters like Bolivar Trask and Dark Beast, but I do believe Donald Pierce is more of a threat this one, like Blob and Avalanche. I feel like threat is a pretty good place to put him. Emma Frost, same thing. By herself, I'm going to put her in threat level. I mean, I don't think she can beat the X-Men by herself. Not at all. But she is really powerful. Of course, being one of the most powerful telepaths. And then, having a diamond form helps, I guess. But really just being a powerful telepath and being just really, really, really smart and conniving and cunning, she definitely is a threat. But not necessarily by herself. Exodus. Yeah, we might be cooked, not gonna lie. If Exodus shows up, we might be cooked. I mean, definitely more powerful than some of the other characters on this list. I'm definitely gonna leave you there. I feel like it's a really good spot for you. The Hellions, I never really pronounced that right. But they're kind of like the villain group that usually goes against the younger mutants, like the New Mutants. So I'd say they pose a threat. Against the X-Men team, I don't think they would be too much of a problem against them. Like I said, they're really dangerous against like the younger X-Men teams or like the New Mutants and things like that, or the kind of younger, more naive squads. That's kind of their version, their group to go against. So they're dangerous against that part. Just the X-Men, they could be big threat, but overall, I don't think they're too much of a problem. Juggernaut. We might be cooked. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The only reason I won't put him in excellent is because he gets beat by the team a lot. but I mean, I guess it's any villain. So I just don't feel comfortable in putting him in the same power range as Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and Cassandra Nova. But he's definitely a problem. Like, I mean, you're talking about an unstoppable force there. I mean, the guy literally like is one of the most powerful characters in all of Marvel. He literally can't be stopped when he runs. Like, he's super underrated. He's super underrated. Lady Deathstrike might be cooked. I'm not gonna lie, she's up there again. I know she's really synonymous as being a Wolverine villain, but as an X Men villain as a whole, like she can really get the X Men to run for their money. I mean, with the healing factor, the cybernetics, the adamantium, she has like the whole package. Like she's really hard to beat, especially since she's like well trained and is really good at stealth as well. Like if she just catches and gets the ups on you, like hey, you're gonna have a problem. I'm not gonna lie. Madeline Pryor. Hmm. I'm gonna go ahead and throw her an excellent. What makes Madeline Pryor so dangerous is pretty much almost exactly what we can say for Dark Phoenix. I mean, she's not as powerful as Dark Phoenix by herself, not at all, but she has the powers of Jean Grey, an Omega level mutant. So, yeah, an Omega level threat is any threat to the X Men off rip. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put you there. Magneto, oh yeah, for sure. My favorite comic book villain of all time. You know Magneto's going up to the top. He's the most iconic villain for the X Men, period. But that's for much of good reason. I mean, he's super dangerous. We're talking about an Omega level villain as well, who has the powers of magnetism. Like, most of the X Men team uses magnetism or, cybernetics or robot parts or adamantium in some way, shape, or form in their power. So off rip, him by himself just solos not even just half the X Men, just half of Marvel, like by himself. So super, super dangerous. Mastermind, I'm going threat. Not too familiar with Mastermind, but yeah, can be pretty much a threat. Those smart characters always get a little bit of advantage from me. Not gonna lie, but I'm gonna go ahead and put you there. Mojo, this is gonna probably make some people upset because Mojo's a threat, but you're in bottom of the barrel. I cannot stand Mojo. Not gonna lie to you. I don't know if it's the goofy nature, just the way he looks, or just the fact that everything really. Mojo is just I hate whenever Mojo shows up in any of the comics or especially the cartoons growing up a kid. Maybe this is a little bit biased, but I don't care. I'm not gonna lie. You're going to bottom of the barrel. I specifically made that tier list when I first saw him. I was like, yeah, you're gonna have to be somewhere by yourself or somewhere where you're not, with the rest of the crowd. Mr. Sinister, again, another one in excellent. Mr. Sinister is super dangerous. Like, think of like some of the most dangerous people we listed on this tier list and combine them all in one person, and you got Mr. Sinister. I mean, this guy is super dangerous, super evil. He's like the most cutthroat person the X. He's like the most cutthroat person the X Men has to face. That guy will stab you in the back, laugh about it, and yeah, and just torture you afterwards, and just clone you and do it all over again. He's sick. So but he's also really cool, not gonna lie. Gotta put Mrs. Sinister up there. Mystique, one of my favorite characters, and I'm gonna go ahead and put her in threat. She can be a serious threat to X Men, the whole copycat, persona. She can pretty much look like anyone. So she can pretty much infiltrate with ease. However, Mystique by herself isn't enough to just defeat the X Men. She definitely is gonna need some backup. So actually, yeah, now I say that, what am I doing? Villain of the week. Yeah, yeah. By herself, she's not gonna really do too much, if we're being honest, unless she's super, super sneaky and clever about it. But oh, Omega Red might be cooked. I'm not gonna lie. Like his powers are insane. Really, honestly, I feel like the only person that could take him is Logan. I mean, I can't see anyone else in the X Men taking him. Maybe Jean. Yeah, maybe Jean. But as a team, it's not as bad as some of the people in the excellent list. But you might be cooked. He's super dangerous. So it depends on how he gets to drop on you. Pyro, I'd say you're villain of the week. Most of X Men can handle him pretty fine. He's super powerful, don't get me wrong, and he is really deadly. But I feel like they can handle him pretty well. Sabretooth. Not too much more to say. Everything I can say about Mega Red, you can pretty much say about Sabretooth. Again, another Wolverine villain. Wolverine has like his villains by themselves can pretty much take the entire X Men group. It's kind of insane now to think about it. But he has some really powerful villains, and Sabretooth is another one. So, gonna have to leave him there. Sauron, gonna go in the bottom of the barrel, buddy. Don't know too much about him. Seen him a couple times, but just looks like a dinosaur, so not really too much more to say about that. Sebastian Shaw. Ooh, he has some really powerful abilities. And he's in one of my favorite X Men movies as well, First Class. Leader of the Hellfire Club. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put him as he's a threat. I feel like that's too low. Am I lowballing him? Guys, comment down below. Am I lowballing Sebastian Shaw? Like, be for real. If I am, definitely tear me up in the comments. I'm gonna leave him a threat. Um, yeah, I feel like he's really powerful, but I don't think he's enough of a threat for the entire team. I don't know. A lot of people on the team have energy based powers now I think about it, so he really might just be a threat. Oh, I'll leave him there. Celine, hmm, not sure where to put Celine. I'll put you up there with, threat level. Celine's pretty powerful. Yeah, I guess third level is pretty fine. Not too cold where you're up there with someone like Exodus or Juggernaut, but you can be a threat. Then again, Sebastian Shaw, he's the one that's gonna get me. He's the one I'm contemplating on. I'm gonna leave him there for now. We'll see. Sentinels. Okay, so these are just the regular Sentinels. We're talking about things like Master Mode or even Nimrod, then heck yeah, they're gonna be at the top. But we're talking about just the traditional Sentinels. They're dangerous, but to the X Men team, those guys are so OP. They're not cooked. They're gonna be a threat, but they're not cooked. The main X Men squad, they're pretty strong. They can face these regular Sentinels pretty easily now, as long as they don't get caught off guard. But it's really those higher tech Sentinels that are gonna be the problem. Shadow King. Oh yeah, you're going up there in excellent, buddy. Now Shadow King, what makes him interesting is he's a telepath who's up there with characters like Professor X, which is just insane. Or for example, looking in the Uncanny X Force, if anybody's read the particular line where Apocalypse comes back, gets cloned, and he's a younger version of himself, and gets kidnapped by the Shadow King and his crew, they were mind controlling this guy and manipulating Apocalypse. And if they had succeeded and really went through Shadow King's plan, he would have came back even more dangerous than ever before. So Shadow King has a way of manipulating people and circumstance with his mind abilities that just makes him super dangerous. Like he can pretty much solo most of the X Men except for Jean Grey. So I think he's a pretty big contender for being able to take the entire team out by himself. He's super dangerous. Silver Samurai. I'll go ahead and throw you over in threat level. To the entire team, no. Of course, you're mainly known as like just a Wolverine villain. So of course, when it comes to Wolverine, you'll give him run for his money. But the entire team, I think they can handle you. Spiral. Not too familiar with you, so I'm gonna go down here at the bottom of the barrel. Strife. Ooh. I'll go ahead and put you in villain of the week. Pretty powerful, pretty strong, but nothing we can't handle. Nothing my team can't handle. These X Men. My X Men. Alright, we got Toad here. Yeah, you're on the bottom of the barrel, buddy. Not gonna lie, I've never thought Toad was cool. Isn't he just like comedic? I put him in like the same category as someone like Shocker from Spider Man. Like you're just there, and that's it. You're just there. The Brood. Well, the Brood is like a group. That's an alien race. So like parasites. So I guess as a whole, they could be a pretty big threat. I mean, you're talking about an entire race since that's the Brood, not just a Brood. So yeah, they can be pretty dangerous altogether. Not gonna lie, and yeah, I think that'll be a pretty big threat. And last but not least, William Stryker. We might be cooked. The reason I didn't put him all the way at the top is he himself is not very powerful. But man, William Stryker is literally responsible for like half the villains on his list. I mean, most of these guys were in his Weapon X program, so yeah, he's really, really powerful. I mean, the guy is pretty evil, pretty sneaky, but he's also pretty like high up in the military and U.S. government. So he's really hard to beat. And without him, we wouldn't have some of the most powerful villains and heroes that we have in X Men. But overall, here's my tier list here. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty happy with this one. I think Sebastian Shaw is probably going to give me, nightmares thinking about having him in threat. But I'm going to leave him how it is for now because you know what? If I'm going to go off my gut. My initial gut feeling was threat. If you guys feel different, go ahead and comment down below. If you feel like anybody on this list is different, definitely comment. I mean, I love hearing from you all and seeing kind of like where your headspace is with these. It's all for fun, kind of my own opinions with these. So I just would like to hear like how you guys rank them, how you move them around. And if you have any other tier lists or any other video ideas, leave those down in the comments as well. I always read every single comment, give a response back if I can. So go ahead and just leave your response. And really, just I appreciate you for watching. It means a lot. So thank you for watching this video. And be on the lookout because there's definitely more to come.